whether you go from here to the west or whether you come from the west to Sri Lanka. The medical system also is really superb here in Sri Lanka. You can just go and channel a doctor at any time. And it was like, wow, this is pretty much almost like a European grocery store. Not like where you have to work yourself to death, kind of. Whereas when we were in Germany, my parents, they had to work 2 jobs, both of them.
Sri Lanka has a good work-life balance. Can we say that?
Yes. When they go abroad, they find they don't have a support system there like they have here. She said there's no place like Sri Lanka. She said it's not the same. People are not. But I can see the family communities here are so strong, and it is something really, really special, you know.
Hi Dilhara, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Lena.
Hi, you are my first Sri Lankan guest. Was living abroad for so many years and then finally came down to the roots to settle down in Sri Lanka. So excited to have you. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Thanks. I'm also excited to be here, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Just to share a little bit about myself, I was born in Sri Lanka in 1983 in Colombo, and as you all know, there was unrest in Sri Lanka during that time. So therefore, my parents took the opportunity to go to Germany. My grandmother was working for the High Commission in Germany at that time, so she was able to get us down. It was actually only meant to be for a few years, you know, just to work a little bit and to make some money and then come back to Sri Lanka. So my parents put me into the American nursery school just to learn, you know, English. Then they decided that they were going to settle and stay in Germany. So then I went to a German school, and I pretty much grew up like a regular, I suppose, you know, German child or in a Sri Lankan home. That is true. But, you know, my friends were all German and all that. We did have a small community of Sri Lankan people that we moved with. But for some reason, I didn't pick up speaking Sinhala that well. I was more comfortable with speaking English and German. And after I finished my school education, I traveled a bit. I went to US for 2 years. I was in UK for 1 year. I was working with kids, teaching. And then finally decided to come back to Germany to start working there. I worked in a huge private kindergarten where I taught English to children, and was pretty happy. But I don't know, I can't explain it. Like, even my mom used to tell me, you know, can't you remember even when you were small, every time we used to go to Sri Lanka and visit, you used to cry and say, you can't come back home. I mean, even though I didn't speak the language that well and all that, I had some kind of a real emotional attachment to my home country. There was a bond there, even though I never lived in Sri Lanka. I can't understand it, you know? So then when the time came where my parents thought, you know, I should get married and settle down, somebody introduced me to someone from, I mean, it's actually not an arranged marriage or proposal as such. I was just introduced to someone from Sri Lanka. I was like, am I really, you know, going to go through with this? Do I really want to go and settle down there? So after I spoke to my mom, she said, yeah, well,
so the
just talk to him.
groom is from Sri Lanka.
He's from Sri Lanka. He had not even left. He had not even left the island or anything. So we just started talking for a couple of months, and we got to know each other, and we had surprised me a lot in common, and it really clicked very well. Then he came down to Germany to see me, and then I came to Sri Lanka. I came to Sri Lanka a few months later to see him, and then we decided to have the registration here, and it was already, like you already told me, like if it comes to the point where we decide that we want to get married, I would want to stay in Sri Lanka because my parents are really old and my brother is living abroad, and I like to look after them. In March 2012, we got married. We had a church wedding in Germany, and after that I came and I settled in Sri Lanka.
Okay, so that's amazing, because usually young Sri Lankans want to go abroad, but your husband chose to stay in his country. That's really lovely. Okay, so when you were a kid growing up in Germany, Dilhara, how often did you come to Sri Lanka on vacation for holidays with your parents?
not yearly. I can like the earliest time I can remember coming was when I was about 7. I think prior to that I had only come once when I was like a year old, and then there was like a 6-7 year gap where we didn't come at all to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And then I think 7, and then after that maybe every 3 years.
So, Dilhara, where are you based in Sri Lanka?
I live a little bit outside of Colombo,
Mm-hmm.
towards I don't know, towards Kottava side.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yesterday I had a guest. She was born in Zambia, to Sri Lankan parents. And she also lives in Kottava. So,
Yes, yes, it's nice because it's not directly in Colombo.
yeah, in the suburbs, yeah?
Hmm.
Yeah. So, your kids were born in Sri Lanka, is it?
Yes, all of them
Okay.
were born here.
Okay. And your parents are back in Sri Lanka or are they still in Germany?
My parents are in Sri Lanka. My brother is also there.
Okay. Okay. So Dilhara, how did you feel when you first moved into Sri Lanka? Not on a holiday though, but to live there, it's a big deal. How did you feel? How did you take it?
So I think a bit mixed, I would say, at the beginning. One thing is I got pregnant soon after. So I think the
Mm-hmm.
whole
The
emotional roller coaster
hormonal,
was there.
yes.
I was missing home and all that.
Mm.
Everything was there. Passion was I used to drive, I used to cry sometimes when my husband used to, take the vehicle and go, because it's totally different from the Western country. But I
Yes.
got used to it very soon. And then of course public transport is totally different. Because you're asking me now, I don't think about these things anymore now, because this has become my day-to-day life. I'm so used to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you're
So
used to
I
it.
think initially, yes, it's a bit of a cultural shock, definitely. I mean, whether you go from here to the West or whether you come from the West to Sri Lanka, definitely there's the cultural
Yeah,
aspect is there.
there's definitely going to be, yes.
I hate the cold, so I like the fact that it is warm.
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to weather, of course, Sri Lanka beats most countries in the world, I say. How did you see the safety as a woman, the safety and infrastructure, everything, your comfort in Sri Lanka?
I was safeguarded, I would say. My husband was a bit by bus or anything at the beginning, because he said you're not used to it. Even my
Yeah.
mother-in-law was like, "Oh, don't cross the road. It's a bit dangerous." So I was a bit safeguarded at the beginning. So I don't think I really felt anything much. I didn't feel
Mm.
unsafe or anything. I didn't there was no issue like that.
Okay. Okay. Great. So since the day you came till now, do you feel like the country is developing, things are improving?
Definitely, because I think for someone who has even in the past has been coming to Sri Lanka from time to time, you can,
Mm.
I mean, since there are like big lapses in between, you can see that there is a huge improvement. I mean, Sri Lanka is overall very much cleaner,
Yeah, then
and
the other South Asian
I mean,
countries, our neighbors.
the roads, yes, and the
Mm-hmm.
roads are in better condition.
Mm-hmm.
Medical care, okay, to the point of COVID. I think after COVID, a few things went downhill here as well as
Mm.
in other countries. But up to then, I think the medical system also is really superb here in Sri Lanka. You can just go and channel a doctor at any time. And even if you see how the supermarkets have developed over the past
Yes,
12 years, it's a
yes,
huge improvement. I
yeah,
can still
yeah.
remember when Fields got its new face. When I went walk. So yeah, definitely there are huge improvements, but still more to go, still
Of
more to
course,
happen.
there's room to develop, yes. Let's talk about the kids. How do you find the
Yes,
education? Since you have personally been educated in Germany, how do you find education in Sri
yes,
Lanka? And which curriculum did you choose for your kids? Because there are several options in Sri Lanka, right?
yes. So my children are going to small private school,
Mm-hmm.
and they are studying local syllabus. They
Oh,
have the
okay.
option to switch to Cambridge. They have the
Mm-hmm.
option to switch to Cambridge in grade 9,
Mm-hmm.
which we still have not decided what we're going to do. How do I find the school system? But I think definitely the curriculum needs to be changed. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some changes have to be made because it's a bit outdated.
Yeah, yeah. National
The way
curriculum,
they're
yes.
following.
Mm.
Yeah, so the international schools, I think they're doing very much better. But when you look at the government schools, I mean, there's something has to be done there.
Yeah, yeah,
There has to
true.
be a change has to be made where they focus more on the child than on the child's education as well. They have to focus on the child as well. Whereas here it seems like it's a bit of a rat race. I want my child to be
Yes,
number one, number two kind
yes.
of thing. That is
Competitive education, yes.
that is yeah. I mean, it's not bad, not completely bad to have a bit of competition because it brings out the best in the child. But I don't think it's right that parents be too competitive and force their children to get. I mean, they say, okay, the goal is to get good marks. If not, you have failed. I think that type of mentality is it is there in some of the people.
Yeah, which
I
can be
think that's
toxic.
also what kind of fast
Agree.
education system.
So when you chose the school, did you go for something that is closer to your residence or based on the other factors? If you can share with us.
Um, yeah, so like I told you, like we live towards Kottava side, so there are not that many schools around. Most of the schools are centered around Colombo. So we picked a
Yeah,
school that is not right in Colombo, where we don't have to travel like into the heart of Colombo, because to
through
be honest, like
traffic.
when you have to yeah, traffic and kids get home really late. So it's about
Yeah.
8 kilometers away.
Oh,
My husband drops them in the morning, 25 minutes, and when I bring them after school, it's about half an hour in the trishaw. So it's not too bad.
okay. And do you drive now?
No,
No,
my
you're still
husband wants
scared.
me to drive. He keeps on. I mean, you know what he did one day on a Poya day? He put me in front of the wheel and he said, "You drive." I mean, you can only do that stuff like that here in Sri Lanka. Right? So he said, "You just drive." So I was so scared. I mean, I can drive, but I don't know. I'm really scared to drive here, but it's possible. It's just I think something within me because I'm
Yeah.
generally a bit of an anxious type of person.
Oh,
So
okay.
out of my anxiety, I might make mistakes. But driving in Sri Lanka definitely is possible more and more. I mean, most women drive nowadays. Most
Yeah.
mothers they drive. If it's not a vehicle, they will drive. They will take a motorbike or whatever, and
Yeah, I see so
they will
many
drive.
scooters, women in scooters. I'm excited to try one actually.
Oh,
What about the other
yeah. So,
activities for kids, Dilhara? Like sports activities or maybe cultural, maybe artistic, other activities for kids. Are they
yeah,
available widely?
I mean, there's a multitude of activities here in Sri Lanka that children can do, from cultural dancing. I mean, I had my two younger ones were in cultural dancing for some time, and then there's swimming, and the school also has extra curricular sports and
Oh,
things like that
yes.
that they can get involved in. I mean, there is much for children to get involved in, but the problem is the time you spend on the road. That is the one of the major issues. Like you can't pack them with too much of things because they will just get too tired
Yeah,
traveling
true.
up and down. So most of the stuff, what we do is we have it soon after school. So whether it's piano classes or basketball, uh, soon after school, so that they can have the rest of the evening free, and that works well.
Yeah, true.
And
But if you
yeah,
if you have to let's say advise me or someone else, an area in Sri Lanka where they're very close to other facilities like sports and other things, plus a good school or some schools, which area would you recommend? Any part
yeah,
of Sri
I
Lanka?
would definitely say, I mean, any part of Sri Lanka. Colombo is definitely the place. I mean, I don't know about other places too much, how it is in
Oh,
maybe
okay.
Kandy also. I'm not too sure, but I know definitely most of activities are centered around Colombo. Like
Colombo, yeah.
you have to be at least in Nugegoda, where you have,
Oh.
like for example, Nugegoda, they have the riding school, they have a swimming place where you can go. Julian Bolan has his swimming academy and stuff like that, like from Nugegoda onwards, if you're going to travel, it's okay. I feel like sometimes we are a bit too far out, but it's still okay.
Okay, so Dilhara, you lived in Germany for how long, you said? Most of your life,
20,
looks like.
28 years, yes.
28 years, wow. So
Mm,
transitioning from there, let's say in simple words, a developed country to a developing country.
yes.
What do you see as a pro? living in Sri Lanka and a con living in Sri Lanka?
Pro is definitely you have, I mean, the weather is amazing here. The fact that you have, the beach is mostly, and in most areas where you would live, you have the beach also close by. Another thing is I feel Sri Lanka is more flexible in many ways. I don't know how to explain it. Like holidays, you can just spontaneously go out. We have a very relaxed life in that way, where we can just take the kids out. Even school, like if you tell the school, I want to take the children out of school for a day or two, because you want to go down south or something, it's usually not an issue. Whereas in the Western countries, it's a huge issue. You can't just take your kids out
Yeah,
of school. You can't just
you
take
need to
leave
go through a
unless
procedure, right?
you have to go through a procedure. I know in some countries like UK where you have to pay a fine, a big hefty fine as well per day. And in Germany, I can remember it's only for very, very special occasions they would give like they would say, okay, you can have 1 or 2 days off unless you're sick, and if you're sick, you have to hand in a medical. So I find it very rigorous there, whereas here it is more free. And because it is more free, you find life is a bit more relaxing. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You don't
Yeah, it does make
on
sense.
the yeah, I don't feel like here. I mean, okay, I don't work here. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But for my husband, even I can say it's not like where you have to work yourself to death, kind of. Whereas when we were in Germany, my parents, they had to work two jobs, both of them.
Yeah. Sri Lanka has a good work-life balance. Can we say that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what are the cons of living in Sri Lanka?
The cons of living in Sri Lanka is just the fact that you don't have much of a variety when it comes to certain foods. And even though okay, maybe that's phrased wrong. When I first came here, there was not much of a variety. Now you have the variety, but it's quite expensive.
Yes. True.
So that is one of the, I would say, cons. Another thing is, which I really miss, is that we don't have sidewalks here. I mean, I think in Colombo you have sidewalks, but here, like when my daughter was born, I couldn't take her out in the stroller and go because there were no sidewalks.
Yeah, not a
So
stroller-friendly
there are,
country.
yeah, there are a few things, and then of course there are issues with stray dogs that you have sometimes. Like I,
Yes.
I have dogs. I mean, I
Um,
have one. The dog passed away a few months back,
oh,
but
I'm sorry.
when I want to take her out for a walk and go, it's sometimes a bit difficult because of the stray dog population.
They try to attack him.
So there are certain things I think, yes. So certain things, I mean, so there are certain things that can be changed here. Those are what I would definitely call cons here. And
Yeah.
then there are certain things that are cons that I suppose you can't,
Change.
but you just have to take it into account, isn't it?
Yeah, like what? Give us an example.
Um, like the sidewalks I mentioned, it's not like they're going to
Oh,
magically come up here at any
yeah,
time,
of course. Also, the
Um,
cycling lanes. I think we need those.
Cycling lanes are not there, and even the rules and everything, and
Yes.
but those have scope for improvement. We are still hoping that the public transport system will get better. And
But the thing is, rules are in place. People are not
yes,
following them. That's the problem. If the people
follow them. Yes.
start thinking at some point, Sri Lanka will
Mhm.
really will reach somewhere. Yes.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So any other cons or pros that you can? What about the food? Do you like the food? Having lived
Oh,
in
I love it.
Germany was. Oh, you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
like yeah, you're living in Germany, yes. When I first came here, like I said, I got pregnant very soon, and with that, I had an absolute aversion to coconut oil. So every time my mother-in-law starts, putting her, carol or whatever it is into the coconut
Yes.
oil and,
Yes.
and starts frying it, I'm just sick. Like, but um, we didn't eat rice and curry every day when I was back home. Maybe once or twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
My mom used to cook a variety of different types of like from Western food to paella. We used to have some days just, brown bread and soup, just typically European type of food,
Yeah.
rice and curry
Yeah.
on and off. But now, I mean, now I can't do a day without rice and curry. It's just
It's
I
like
just
the
love the
genes are
food, and
coming
even my
out.
kids. I know, and whether it is dry fish or sprats or whether the malung or what it is, it has to be there.
Yes.
When I went back to Germany for a holiday 2 years back, I even though I did enjoy the food there, I did miss my rice and curry.
So, Dilara, how do you see when people say we want to move to Europe to have a better life, coming back to your roots from Germany? What do you think of these people, or what advice can you give them?
Um, I'll be very honest here.
Yeah.
I have quite a few of people in my acquaintance like circle who have gone abroad. Either it's for work for 1 or 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
or it's for it's permanently, and the majority of them regret it
Ah, they regret it. Yeah.
because what happens is hello. Okay, what happens is when they go abroad, they find they don't have a support system there like they have here. I mean, here,
Totally.
even if you don't have relatives, even your neighbors are like your family. Like our neighbors,
Absolutely.
I mean, who live next door and left and right as well, they are like family to us. My husband
Yes.
has known them like for the past 40 years, and
Mm.
we can even safely keep our kids there and go or ask them, like when we went on vacation to Germany, they came and looked after a dog and helped. I mean, they help. They cook food and send when you're not well. And what people have to consider is when you go abroad, unless you have a really superb work package, which is going to provide you with everything where you can, where your children and you can live comfortably and have free time, because um, I mean, that will not always be the case. So you have to put that into consideration. You have to, I mean, if you go there, you don't have relatives or anyone to look after your kids have to go into daycare. You have to pay
Yes.
for daycare. And
Mm.
you can't take sick when your children are sick. You have to take sick leave, even if you're working, right? And most of the times, if you go abroad, both have to work, and
Yeah.
sometimes even more than one job, because now in the West, same. I mean, we say things are expensive here. It's the same abroad. Everything
Yeah.
has gone up in price there. Like my parents are telling, it's just crazy how expensive everything has got.
True, true. And you have to deal with the bad weather. Also, it's not just about the kids, right, Dilhara? It's also about us, our well-being. We would like to be socializing with like-minded people, and I feel like in Western countries, I don't know about Germany, but in Western countries, it's very hard to make friends like we would do in Sri Lanka, you know?
Yes,
What about Germany?
yes, it
This
is. It
in
is.
this aspect.
It's the same thing. I mean, Germans, I mean, they're wonderful people. They're very nice. They're very friendly. But you don't come to that kind of an understanding with people like you do here. Here, it's like, if
Yes,
I go out for a walk with my husband, he's like, ah, hi, Machang. He will see someone, he will talk to that person. And within
yes,
2 minutes, they're friends, then they
yeah, it's
exchange
beautiful.
numbers. And that will not happen abroad.
Yes,
It will not happen. You will not have a circle like that. And I think that's one thing the kids also understood, because, like I mentioned earlier, 2 years ago we went for a holiday, and the
mm,
children, they were spoiled rotten. I mean, all the acquaintance people we have there, they bought stuff for the kids. They had food as much as they wanted to. They were overwhelmed with the amount of stuff in the supermarkets and toys and
mm,
everything that you get there. But at the end of the day, they wanted to come back home. She said there's
mm.
no place like Sri Lanka. She said it's not the same. People are not the same. Family, you have family here. Even people who are not family is like family here.
Like family,
So,
true.
and another thing that is very important for me is moral values and
Mm,
virtue, even especially for children. I mean, the Western lifestyle, how it is now, I don't think it very much suits us as a family,
mm,
because we still preserve our children. I mean, it's
mm,
true, children have to be exposed, and certain things have to be taught to them age
mm.
appropriately. But I find it's in the Western countries, I find it's a bit too
Not under
advanced.
control, yes.
I mean, children have to be children, for a certain
Yeah,
amount of time.
yeah. If I may add
Um,
something, I
there's an age
also,
for everything.
yes. I've also observed that the skills, the life skills we learn in Sri Lanka, consciously or unconsciously, by
Yes,
seeing our uncle fixing the something broken, or our sister is trying to do the plumbing, uh, like these kind of life skill education, we don't get it
yes.
abroad, in my observation. You're ready to do, you can cook, you
No,
can
no, you
clean,
don't.
you can fix things when it's broken, you can mend some clothes, whatever. So yeah, this is
Definitely,
something
definitely.
I should really appreciate about Sri Lankan life.
That is
um
actually so true because you're mentioning it now. I still don't know how to sew a button on even properly. All the sewing and mending my husband does. He learned it.
see.
He can, yeah. So it's really true what you're saying. One thing is you can enjoy family life here. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important, I think, to prioritize your family as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you go abroad, you can't prioritize family life like you do it here. Another thing is I find like there is always ways to, do a business and to make money here,
Mm-hmm.
which is much more complicated once you go abroad. Here,
True.
my husband used to always say, I mean, my husband, he's into freight. He has his shipping company. So he used to work like here, you have so much of opportunities, to work your way up or to do something. Whereas if you go to Europe, you get stuck there. I mean, you're stuck, all
Mm-hmm.
you have to do is further your education, study, study, study. And at the end of it, you have
True.
put in a lot of time, a lot of money into it, and at the end, what you reap is not as much.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and what about the bureaucracy? Having dealt with the German bureaucracy and Sri Lanka, do you see there is a difference between these two?
Uh, yes, but I'll be honest with you. After COVID, my brother said bureaucracy there in Germany has gone downhill as well. He said it's very, very tedious and slow to get stuff done. But here, definitely, like bureaucracy in the sense means like when if you go into the government department to get something done, it's a tedious job here.
Yeah.
It takes a long time, even to go to a bank and get something done.
So, Dilhara, if you
Yes,
want to pass a message to our fellow Lankans, what would it be?
yes.
Feel free.
I would definitely say don't be in a hurry to run away from here. I mean, you don't realize how much you have here, but once you've given up everything, uprooted yourself, and gone there, and if you find, that it's not the right thing for you, I mean, it's a bigger progress to come back again. And
Yeah,
what I would definitely say is I can see so many people who have gone now. They went 2-3 years back, and now they're trying to come back to Sri Lanka because it is really hard. So you have to really, really think twice before you make this move. Because
yeah,
one thing is you won't have the support system there that you have here. You have to work very, very much harder, and you have to make certain sacrifices. Family definitely, and children, you have to think of your children as well, because what I would say is, I mean, growing up with grandparents, growing up with other family members is also really important. I can say
very
from
important.
myself, because my cousins were all here, and because
Mm.
of that, we don't have a very close relationship because we didn't grow up together.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I can see the family communities here are so strong, and it is something
Yes,
really, really special. It's
yeah.
not something, that you can think of just, giving up so easily. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can thrive here in Sri Lanka. You can make a living here.
Yeah, a decent living,
It's
yes.
not impossible.
Yeah. Well, family-oriented culture makes grooms a person, isn't it? Especially the kids.
Yes,
They teach values
yes,
and so many things. Yeah, true.
yes.
Yeah.
Like,
If I may add something to this, I am not talking bad about any job, any profession, but some of our Sri Lankans I have seen, they leave good jobs like nurses, doctors, and go to Western countries, especially the countries that don't speak English, and they end up being
yes,
support workers or house assistants. I pity them. I feel bad. Where is the
yes,
dignity? I mean, as a doctor, you can
yeah,
still have a decent life in Sri Lanka. It's how you see it,
yes,
how you perceive it. It's like always they think
Definitely.
grass is greener on the other side. So this is also why
Yes,
I want
yes,
to interview people like you, Dilhara, who were
yes,
there all most of your life. You lived in Germany. I mean, Germany is one
yes.
of the best countries in Europe, but you still found your roots and you felt this attachment to Sri Lanka, and actually you appreciate the values we have, which
Hmm.
I'm really happy to meet you in this sense.
Thank you so much. Yes, I'm also really, really happy to have the opportunity to speak
No
and make
problem.
putting this on a public forum. I think is so important because sometimes when we
Yes,
just, tell this to people, they will not, they will take it lightly or they will not take it. But
you're
once it's out
jealous.
there,
They will think,
and yes, and you're having all these interviews out there, and I mean, I went through a couple of them, and I was just going through it, and pretty much most of them are very, very similar, and the way the people are thinking who have come back. So
yeah,
definitely have to think about it, and make a conscious choice before you decide that you really want to leave all this and go.
yes, true, true, true. So happy to have you. One of the main reasons is that you just didn't go at some point of your life. You were there most of your life. So
Yeah.
hearing it from you really makes sense. I mean, there's nothing to be jealous. You can just go back. It's your like home. But you're still here
Yes.
in Sri Lanka and you're trying to educate. That's really amazing. Thank you for participating in this episode, Dilhara. I'm so glad. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.